All right, y'all, what's up? Welcome back. So for this episode, I'm going to be touching on a few things, a few issues that are big issues for the quote unquote black community that we definitely need to address sooner rather than later, because it's not getting any better. Now, the first one is actually, I know you see percentage of black families and single parents, stuff like that on the screen right now, but what I actually want to start with is um, how the so-called black community allows everyone into it, and therefore allows everyone to just kind of hijack things that should be for blacks and that blacks should be focusing on. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, I'll give you some examples. For instance, I believe it was the 14th and 15th Amendment. Um, might have even been the 16th. I gotta re-look at the Constitution and the amendments again. But anyway, I believe it was the 14th and 15th Amendments that were pretty much put in there to help the quote unquote black community after the emancipation of the slaves and everything like that. Because obviously, they were promised 40 acres and a mule, and President Johnson did not oblige to those to those offerings stipulated by I believe it was Abraham Lincoln. So with that, you had a whole bunch of displaced people with no money, and most didn't know how to read. Especially if you go by the narrative, many didn't know how to read, and therefore a lot of lives were lost. That first year or two after the emancipation, because these people had nowhere to go. Most of them, no, not most, but a lot did go back to their slave masters, because they didn't have any other options. They didn't have any land, and they weren't being treated, quote unquote, fairly out on their own. So now, with that being the case, these amendments came in, and then they were supposed to help, right? But those amendments have been used by immigrants. They have been used by even corporations to this day. And that's an issue, obviously, because, and this is another reason why we can't call ourselves quote unquote minorities, because when you call yourself a minority is such a blanket term that obviously different immigrant groups can come in under that and say, oh, well, I'm a minority as well. Now, are they technically a minority when you look at numbers, population in the country? Yes. But if you want to have the conversation of what is deserved from quote unquote people, then yes, no, we're not going to do that, because obviously the quote unquote blacks from slavery that were over here, when the immigrants were coming over, they were given plots of land, they were given slaves to work the land, so that way America could be more prosperous. When they emancipated the slaves, they were trying to come up with different ways to get that free labor back, because that really hurt the market. So then they started doing, the indentured servants. But again, still, all the while, all the immigrants are still coming over, and they're coming over on a higher social economic level than the quote unquote blacks that are already here. They're getting access to things, to land and grants that the blacks here were not allowed to have. For instance, when the gold rush happened, people were heading out west. Blacks were not allowed to mine for gold. They were not allowed to mine for gold. But other immigrant groups that came over, what they would be called minority groups, came over, and they were allowed to do these things. So again, I'm saying that to point out the fact that these amendments were put in place for us, but they get used by everyone else. Now, fast forward to let's just go to the women's suffrage movement. The women, mainly the Caucasian women, wanted to fight because they felt like they could offer more to the world, in a very, that's a nutshell. Don't quote me. In a very, they wanted to do more. They felt like they were being limited. They felt like they didn't have any rights, and to a degree, they really didn't back in those days. But when they started the push to change all that, who did they recruit? They recruited quote unquote black women to help with this women's suffrage movement. And obviously, we all know how that went. They were able to accomplish a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I'm talking to you, black women. What did y'all really accomplish? You allowed yourself to be pimped out by the Caucasian woman to help her get what she wanted. At the end of the day, you're still black. And I'm not saying that in like as a derogatory term or what have you. I'm saying it because I know that's how most of you speak and understand it. At the end of the day, you're still black. And at the end of the day, black is still a low-class citizen that does not have the same rights and luxuries that, quote-unquote, whites do. So, recap real fast. The 14th, 15th Amendment, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I could be wrong. Immigrants came over. Other minority groups called themselves minorities. Hey, they were able to reap the benefits of those amendments. The women's suffrage movement. Caucasian women and women in general, but mainly Caucasian women got what they wanted out of it. Okay? And then now, for instance, when you look at legislations that's been passed over the past 50, 60 years, there's been a lot of movements for quote-unquote minority groups. Here we go again. Like the LGBTQ. It started with just the gay rights, and it started with the trans rights, and so on and so forth, what have you. And all the while, where is the legislation for the quote-unquote black man? And this is what happens when you allow other people and other groups to speak for you. They don't have your best interests in mind. But you know what? They use you, so-called black man. They use us because they know that we're dynamic. We're polarizing. We have energy. They harness our energy and use it to accomplish their own. Like, for instance, if you look at the Black Lives Matter protests out there right now, you'll see in the crowd a lot of Caucasian people. You'll see a lot of homosexual black men out there. That's just what you'll see. It's very rare that you'll see real heterosexual quote unquote black men out there at these protests and rallies. But then again, as most of you already know who've been following me and have read anything, know that the Black Lives Matter movement is a Marxist movement. It's Marxist, and it's led by 3 lesbian women who literally stated, they said this, their goal is to destroy the patriarchy and destroy the nuclear family. That's what they want to do. So, i.e., black men, they're talking about you. They don't have your best interests in mind. Not at all. Quite the opposite. They don't want you around. They feel like you're not needed. But at the same time, every time a quote-unquote black man gets shot by the police, who wants to be the first ones there, acting like they care? The quote-unquote Black Lives Matter group. Isn't that funny? We got to start waking up because this is the reality that's going on. We're being pimped. Black men, you're being pimped. Black women, you're being pimped. What we need to do, and for instance, I was just talking to my wife about this at dinner. The issue is, when a white person comes up and say, hey, I want to help you guys out or whatever, what we need to do is say thank you, but no thank you. No thank you. Simply because you cannot help me. You can't help me. Last time I checked, quote unquote, whites were helping us since the beginning. Since every step of the way, they've been there helping, and shit has not gotten any better. And don't be a fool and have these freaking these social justice warriors, these super liberal warriors out here try to tell you, oh well, blacks are graduating colleges at higher rates and yada yada yada, stuff like that. Yes, that is true, but numbers are misleading because as you can see at what I'm looking at right now on the screen, in 2011 it was reported that 72% of black babies were born to unmarried mothers. As of 2015, 77.3%. It's the highest among all demographics in this nation. It's been the highest. It's not even close. It's not even a close second. People might say, "Oh, what's the problem with that?" There's a huge problem with that. What this means is that we have a whole bunch of families, well, if you want to call them families, that are being run by the matriarch with all this feminine energy. You have all these women that grew up without men for the most part, and are growing up without men in the home for the most part, due to many reasons, and I'll get into that a little later. And then they have their kids at young ages for the most part again, and then those kids' parents aren't in their lives. So these boys and these girls aren't being taught how to be just that, how to be a man, and how to be a woman. Now there's roles in life. Now I know there's a lot of people, especially this day and age, that don't agree with roles or understand roles or want to understand them. But at the end of the day, there's roles in this world. Everything has a role. If they didn't and they started bucking the role, you know what that thing would be considered? A cancer, and detrimental to our progress. That's why when you have cells that start breaking code in your body, they're called cancer cells, and you have to get rid of them. Okay? Everything has a role. Now, am I sitting here to say that, oh, now because of that, men and women aren't equal? Well, yes, that's actually what I am saying. We're not equal. No, nothing is equal. Nothing is equal. That is just some kind of freaking fallacy. It's not real. Equality is not real. Okay, it's not. We're not equal, men and women. Does that mean that one is greater than and the other is less than? No, that's not what that means either. We have to stop putting words together that don't belong together. Just because someone says that something's not equal doesn't mean greater or lesser than. So no, we're both just as important and complementary. Men are complementary to women and vice versa. Okay? And the sooner we get back to that and embracing that, our roles, and having respect for not only ourselves, but our family, and then the opposite, not even opposite gender, the complementary gender, excuse my C, is that I have to train myself to speak in a more appropriate way, in a more conscious way of what the reality is. So I digress. You have all these households and they're being taught nothing besides what to do is what I did. Get pregnant, get money from the government, and then you know what that makes you? A strong, independent black woman. And no, that's not what that makes you. Last time I checked, independent doesn't mean that you're getting subsidized by the government. And that's another reason why these men are in the house. The incentive is for the woman, especially in the black community, because as far as I can see, this is the only community where it's being pushed. Hey, you don't need a man. Y'all strong. This, that, and the third. No, I don't see that being pushed to any other demographic on the level that I see it being pushed to these young black women out here. So the incentive is, hey, if the man's not around, then you get to get, these food stamps. You get to get this. Now you get to have the nice shoes, whatever. You get to have all that because when your income tax check come, yeah, you got that too. You know what I'm saying? So now you just living high off the hog. You got like 2-3 kids because you're incentivized to do so. And again, people always say, oh, well, how come people, they're just all they do is have kids. They have kids because that's the game they're running. That's the game. And y'all know how the game go. Come on, man. But that's the game, and the incentive, obviously, I'm based off history, is too great for these women to say, you know what? Nah, I'd rather have a man, or maybe it's because they grew up without a man, so they learn and grow to resent men, especially men of any authority, especially black men of any authority. So we have this whole like just stew just boiling of all of this. Like it's just, and there's more to it. Obviously, the prison industrial complex keeps a lot of black men out of the homes. Yes, that they do. And again, obviously, black men are targeted for that. But at the end of the day, black man, if you preside over your family and you actually, you have something to teach your family, not only your kids, but your wife too, and you can lead your family, you're more than likely not going to have kids wind up in the prison industrial complex or being a part of the prison industrial complex. If you're moving with a purpose and you're moving your family with a purpose, and then, obviously you teach your children to move with a purpose, they're not going to find themselves in precarious situations where they could be arrested or, something like that can happen. You know, that's not as likely to occur. So, I digress. What piece of legislation has been passed recently that actually benefits and helps the quote unquote black man? Now I'm going to pull it up right now. All right, the First Step Act, formerly known as formerly known as the formerly incarcerated Reenter Society Transforms Safely Transitioning Every Person Act. That's a mouthful. Jesus Christ. Is a bipartisan criminal justice bill passed by the 115th Congress and signed by President Donald Trump in 2018. So for those of you who don't know what this is, I'm going to give you a little backstory on it. All right. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So as you can see right here, the First Step Act, among other changes, reforms federal prisons and sentencing laws in order to reduce recidivism, decrease the federal inmate population, and maintain public safety. So if you're decreasing the federal inmate population, and we all know that the overwhelming majority of inmates are quote unquote black men, then you're taking black men out of prison. Now, this is a bill or act, whatever you prefer to call it, that directly affects black families. You see? What's the last piece of any legislation that came out that impacted the quote unquote black man / black family? I'll wait. Yeah, Barack Obama didn't have anything like it. But he was praised as a president, especially in the quote unquote black community. And all these excuses were made for him. But you do know that Barack Obama had laws passed to help the quote unquote the gays, the LGBTQs, and all the trans and all of them. And nothing against him. I'm not over here hating or bashing on him. I'm just calling it like it is. That's he had legislation passed on behalf of them, but not on behalf of himself. If he sees himself as a quote unquote black man, I don't fucking know. All right, I don't know, but the reality is Trump did that. Trump, and am I over here speaking like I'm a Trump fan or whatever? No, I'm not. What I'm pointing out to all of you is that you can't just subscribe to this identity politics. Okay, you can't. And not for nothing, politics is a waste of time anyway, because neither fucking party cares about you. I'm just saying legislation that's been passed that helps black men for that matter, was passed in 2018. I can't think for the life of me the one that came before that. I can't. Actually, I could think of the Clinton presidency where him thanks to Joe Biden, who wrote the crime bill and stated the three strike law, which destroyed, in partnership with the crack epidemic coming before that, but destroyed the quote unquote black community by taking the men out the house. So what we need to get back to and understand is that the men are the focus. The men are the focus. No offense to women, no offense, but the men are the focus. That's why it was made so that way they can get the men out the house. Now look at the black community. It's in shambles, and it will never get better until first and foremost we take it over ourselves, and it has to be led by the men. Oh, well, what about women? We can obviously you can't. Okay, obviously you can't. I just read the numbers for you. Read the numbers. A single parent household out of 77% are quote unquote black, and out of those, what percentage of those single parents do you think are actually the father and the child? Come on, let's just be real. So again, the black family style is a matriarch, and obviously we know where we are. We know where we've been. It ain't getting any better. It's not. Abortion rates are still high as hell. We're killing thousands and thousands and thousands of our own babies. Our population percentage has not grown in like the past 50 years. It's been, I think it's like 13%, between 12.4 and 13%. We've been passed by the quote unquote Latinos. So now we're third. We were second. Now we're third. You know, these are things that were allowed to just happen under the matriarchy. We don't control any money. We control 0.5% of all the wealth in this country. 0.5%, I believe it was. Last time I checked, 0.5%. And that's including all your favorite basketball players. That's including all your favorite football players. That's including Oprah. That's including Denzel. That's including all of them. Want to know why? Because it's very simple. And I think Chris Rock made this joke years ago. There's rich, and then there's wealthy. Shaq is rich. The person who signs Shaq's check is wealthy. And there's way more wealthy, quote unquote, everybody else than there is us. And that's because we have poor spending habits and poor financial literacy and poor economic structures, because our homes are ran by a whole bunch of women that don't really know nothing outside of what they already know, which is, I have these kids, I can get the benefits from the government, and I'm living a decent life. And that's why you see a lot of people, they don't get out of the hood. Generations upon generations upon generations, growing up in the same hood, same block, same projects, same. And they don't teach their kids to want more, because they can't even probably fathom it. They can't fathom it. And why mess up a good thing? We got a good thing going on right here. We don't got to go anywhere. It's a shame. It's sad as hell. But again, we can't allow other races to just come in and try to help us. We don't need a quote unquote white person trying to help with our movement and then trying to dictate to us and make decisions and shit like that. Hell no. Because I guarantee you, if you don't believe me, I guarantee you. Now, I don't really subscribe to the whole white privilege. Like, I don't like how that's worded, privilege. It's not privilege. I'll tell you what it is. When you're in power, like if I'm the king of this block, right? And my family's a royal family. Now, and then my son is the prince, and he's walking around. Is he privileged? No. He's the son of the king. The king rules, and that's his son. So that's what happens when you rule. When you rule, you get to make when you rule, you get to make the rules. So you make the rules to best fit you. Why? Because we're creatures, like all living creatures, we want to survive. It's innate within us to survive, to reproduce. So we're not going to make it harder for ourselves to do so. We're going to make it easier. And that's not a privilege. No, it's called ruling. That's it. So again, this whole, you can't let a quote-unquote white person just come in and start dictating and stuff, because ask them this question. Ask them, hey, do you believe in white privilege or whatever? Now, if they're hanging out with you, they're more than likely going to say yes, because they're more than likely a liberal Caucasian. And of course they're going to say, oh, yeah, no, it's so real, yeah, and I sympathize, and I feel so bad, yada, yada. And then you ask them, you say, would you give up your privilege? See how long it takes them to answer that question. If there's any type of delay, you already know. You know what I'm saying? You already know. But I say this to say, they'll be the ones in your face telling you, oh, I feel this and that, and it's so messed up, and yada, yada, yada. But then they would not give up the privilege. They wouldn't. If that's how you feel, hey, go to your bank account, empty out your bank account, give all the money to somebody, to me. Give all your money to me. But that's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. Want to know why? Because you wouldn't do it either. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. Why would I give up the ruling? I'm ruling. Why the hell would I give that up? Why would I give up just even a little bit? You know, and that goes back to what Dr. Claude Anderson says too, about race. Race is a race. It's literally a race. When you think of race, like racism, race. I spoke about race like 2 videos ago. But anyway, race. It's a race. Yo, races have winners and races have losers. Okay, so when you're talking about race, there's winners and there's losers, and the black people are the losers. Okay, and we're running their race. So again, every time you want to say, "Oh, I'm black and black's my race," you're playing that game. You're running that race. You're running their race, and as long as you're running their race, you're gonna lose. And if you allow them to say, "Hey, you know what? Get on my back. I'll help you run this race," you're gonna lose, because you know at the end of the day, they might do a little bit something for you, but they're never gonna get you past that finish line first. They're never gonna push you past that finish line before they allow themselves past the finish line. And you shouldn't expect them to. We shouldn't expect them to. And they shouldn't expect us to. So when we say going forward, no, we don't need your help. Thank you, no thank you. You want to help? Just remain sympathetic to the cause. That's all you can do, short of giving us all your money, which you know is not going to happen. So no, we don't need your help. We don't need you infiltrating what we're trying to do. No, we need to do this on our own. We need to take back our homes. We need to put the man back as the head of these homes. Have these men be the steward over their homes and their families. Have these men seek knowledge, learn, grow a culture, a real culture, not the quote unquote the culture. That is not a. And I think I spoke on this on another video. That's not a culture. What we have, shooting each other and killing each other, and no snitching and all that shit. That's freaking detrimental to our existence, and freaking aborting babies at freaking record-setting rates. That's not a culture. That's not a culture. We are literally our own worst enemy. So whenever I hear people talking about, oh, the white man is, no, motherfucker, it's you. It's you, motherfucker. It's you. It's you. You know who else it is too? It's your fucking your lazy ass fucking cousin that ain't doing shit. That got 3 kids by 3 different women, no job, and every time someone asks him a question about it, he all up in his feelings and getting all emotional. Wanna know why? Because he a fucking pussy. No matter how big he is, no matter how many dudes he beat up, no matter how many guns he got, he's still a pussy because he got all this feminine ass energy on him. That's why you can't even have a conversation when niggas have the time these days. Because again, they all grew up in these households just filled with women. Myself included. I grew up with my mom and a whole bunch of aunts. For the majority, you know, I didn't start to change my perspective on everything till I got older. I started listening to this YouTuber, Chronicles of Judah 144. A lot of praise to that brother. Great dude who was really able to put things into perspective for me. And then I was able to go off and start reading different books by some great authors. Obviously, I already said Dr. Claude Anderson, and oh my God, Manning Johnson wrote a really good book about communism, about how liberals try to attack you and pretend to be your friend. Malcolm X, obviously, Marcus Garvey, even Martin Luther King, although I'm not really too fond of what he was about and who he really was. But still, he did write a lot of great things, and he said a lot of great things. He was a great orator. So anyway, I digress. Once I started to read and look into all of this stuff, I was able to put it together, full circle and say, hey, this information needs to get out. And this isn't even revelatory. This is very basic stuff. This is very basic that needs to be heard, shared, and applied. It needs to be applied. And we don't have time to say, try to go back and forth with these silly ass fights about, women can lead the household. Listen to me. I'm not going to go back and forth with you over that. Like, I'm not. Now is the time. You get with it or you get lost. Period, point blank. We ain't waiting for y'all no more. Fuck out of here. You want to keep staying in the hood, selling drugs to the community? Nah, bro. You don't want to get with the program? You get left. You get left. Period. And I'm saying that I will leave your ass. Whatever the case may be. You're not coming with us. If you think that you could just keep on shooting in the hood and shooting everybody, shooting people that look like you just because they grew up on a different block of yours, and neither one of you motherfuckers own the block that you're fucking repping, then not. If you don't see that that's a problem, and you're not trying to bring about a solution to that problem, then again, you getting left. If you just shooting up in the hood or whatever, you stray bullets hitting kids and whatever, man. There's no room for none of that. You want to be a single black independent strong woman, and you're gonna do that on your own, quote unquote, i.e. receiving government subsidy checks. No, there's no room for that. Not what we're trying to do. All right, the rest of us, we trying to get our shit together. We trying to have a future. We're trying to have a real productive future. We're trying to have pride in ourselves and what we do. That way, in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, we can look at the numbers, the statistics, and say, oh, look at that. The black abortion rate has went down 30%. Oh, look at that. Black unemployment rate is at record lows. Oh, black business ownership is at record highs. Oh, blacks control more than 0.5% of the wealth in 30 years. In 30 years, when they look at that, the black population has grown. It's actually overtaken the number 2 spot again. Stuff like that. Things to be proud of. Things that lead to true progress. And you can say, it's actually better. Because the progress that we see now, that's not real progress. That's just like for aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? You ever been to somebody's house and you walk in the house and, it's like, that looks nice in here. But then, if you pull back, like, the bed sheets or whatever, then it's like, oh, my God, like, the sheets are all fucked up, dirty-ass sheets or whatever. You open the closet's a mess, like, everything was just thrown in there because they knew you were coming. The second you open the closet door, shit about to just fucking fall on you. Yes, that's for aesthetics. But underneath it all, it's still a whole bunch of bullshit. So we can't keep getting sold on the fucking aesthetics. Like, you graduating college. You know what? I'd rather be able to graduate college and then go work for someone that looks like me. That way I can contribute back to my community. Okay? I'd rather do that. I'd rather go to college and be able to start my own business and have that safety net already there for my community that I can build my own business for my community. Why not that? Why not that? Why do we teach these kids to go to school and, get a good job instead of creating a job? Create a job. And I don't want to get too far off my main point here because obviously I can go on for days about more and more, but that's what other videos are going to be for. But just to sum it all back up, we can't allow outsiders to just hijack our movements, okay? Because they do not have our best interests in mind. Like I said, it's all a fucking race. And I don't care how much help motherfuckers say they're going to give you, they're never going to push you to pass the finish line first. All right? They're always going to pass the finish line first. So as long as you got your hand out and shit, you're never going to be number one. You're never going to be a winner. And if that's the case, then why the hell would any woman want to be with you? Quote unquote. I'm talking to the black man right now. Why would any woman want to be with you? If you're if you're a loser ass, settling for second. Nah. We have to do for our own. That's it. Look at the NAACP. Had freaking nothing but like goddamn Jewish leaders since damn near its inception. What is that about? What the fuck is that about? Let me go to a goddamn Jewish community right now. There's one actually not far from where I live. It's in Lakewood, New Jersey. For those of you that don't know, I live in New Jersey. Let me go to Lakewood, New Jersey, and infiltrate one of their freaking fraternal groups or whatever the case may be, and no, it wouldn't even fly. It wouldn't even. I can't even fix my mouth to get the words out because it wouldn't fly. Let me try to go to Lakewood and open up a freaking Aaron's barbecue spot. That ain't gonna fly. They will not allow that to happen. But you know what we allow to happen? We allow them to come in with their jewelry stores. We allow the Arabs to come in with their bodegas. We allow the Asian people to come with the Chinese restaurant, the Koreans with the nail joints and the weaves. And we spend all this money in our quote unquote community, but that money ain't staying in the community because those aren't our businesses. Once these businesses come in, what we should be doing is getting them the fuck out. Getting them out. And then getting our own businesses in. That's it. And again, this is not revelatory, and I'm not the first one to say it. I'm not trying to sit here and sound like, oh my God, like I have all the answers. No. But this is the answer. I didn't come up with this answer. Many great minds before me has been saying it. But we have to do it. We have to make the change. We have to start with the household. Get the black men to remain in the house. Teach them something. Keep them out the streets. That way, they're not so inclined to be a victim of the prison industrial complex. When you have a president or a politician that's doing things like Donald Trump did, you know what you do? You reward him, and then you say, we need more. You don't just say, oh, he's a racist, I'm going to vote for Biden, or I'm going to vote for Biden and Harris because, oh, she's a black woman, she's a black queen, black guy, blah, 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 blah. Man, you know how many black motherfuckers she done locked up when she was in California? Do you even fucking know? You even know that she doesn't even to be considered black, at least prior to running for VP. Prior to that, she didn't. Now, of course, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm black. The other day, she was talking about Tariq Nasheed did a video showing how she was talking about, oh, when I was growing up, we were celebrating Kwanzaa. Bitch, get the fuck out of here. Come on now. Now, niggas know that's some bullshit because niggas already know we don't celebrate Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? My family might have celebrated Kwanzaa like once or twice, and that wasn't even my family. That was the other side of the family, and they was doing it. But nah, man, niggas ain't celebrating Kwanzaa out here. Niggas is celebrating Christmas and going out spending all they goddamn money every year on Christmas, but now don't got money for nothing else. But that's what niggas is spending money on. But I digress. So no, when she said, oh, we was doing the whole Kwanzaa, nah, fuck out of here. You know damn well you wasn't celebrating Kwanzaa. That's some bullshit narrative, scripted ass lie. But you know what? She pimping y'all, man. So I'm gonna wrap this video up because it went way longer than I wanted it to go. But we just gotta do for ourselves, man. We can't allow other demographics to walk in and try to tell us what to do or offer quote unquote advice. The best advice we could give ourselves is to do it ourselves. That's it, man. If you like what I'm saying, please like, comment, subscribe, share it. Definitely share it. Spread the word. Definitely check out, Tariq Nasheed. Check out Chronicles of Judah 144. Like I said, he's got a lot of great videos on YouTube. I read some books by Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. Check it all out. Check it all out. If you have any questions, want any recommendations about some stuff to read, shoot me a comment or whatever the case may be, or email, and I'll definitely send that information out because the more we know, the more we can do. And it's about time that we start, turning this shit the fuck around because it ain't gonna get no better. It ain't gonna get no better if we just keep going the way we going right now. Like it's getting worse. Look at Chicago. Motherfuckers is killing each other like it's the Wild Wild West out there, man. I just got back from Detroit not that long ago. And obviously, I don't know about Chicago, but I know Detroit, and Michigan is open carry out there. So them niggas dead ass really think it's the Wild Wild fucking West out there. And it's sad, man. Sad, killing each other. Getting guns you know what I'm saying? The white man don't even gotta kill you, motherfucker. You're more likely to kill yourself. So we gotta stop, focusing on white and black and that. No, focus on you. Focus on your household. Is there a man in the household? Does a man have masculine energy on him, or does he have a whole bunch of bitch energy on him? If he has a whole bunch of bitch energy on him, how are you going to get that energy off of him? And if it's you that got the bitch energy off on you, how are we going to get that bitch energy off you? By reading these books, changing your perspective. Okay, stop putting the quote unquote woman on the pedestal. Be a man. You be the man and seek out solutions. That's what you are supposed to do. Every great civilization has been brought up by men and built by men. It's not a coincidence. That's the reality. But anyway, peace.